Hey everyone, so I wanted to take a couple minutes to review the updates that I've made to this project, as well as give you an overall status update as far as when it will be available, answer a couple questions, and float an idea by you guys to see what you think about it. So let's take care of that housekeeping first, then we'll look at the actual update to the application. So someone asked, is this going to be a mod or what is the final form going to be? At the moment, I intend to make this project freely available to all of you. So I'm going to put it on my itch page, so my publisher page on itch.io. You'll be able to download it for free. If one of you wants to turn it to a mod and then post it to the Unity store, if you have a Unity account, you're certainly allowed to do that. If someone else wants to turn it into a standalone executable file, you are free to do that as well. So you can do whatever you want with this, and I kind of hope that there will be different variations, that someone makes a mod, someone makes a standalone application, maybe people will make multiple standalone applications. As I said, there's kind of two directions this could go in. This could lean into Magic of Voxel, although we've already kind of expanded beyond that, because if I recall, Magic of Voxel only had you only had cubes, okay? You didn't have these other shapes, at least not the main version. I don't know if there was a forked version or not, but the main version of Magica Voxel was only cubes, if I recall correctly. So we've already kind of expanded beyond that, having the different shapes. And the other direction that you could go is you could make it more like Asset Forge, where basically you have all these really more than primitives. Like, for instance, I did a tutorial showing you how you could make a golf course using Asset Forge. So maybe you guys might want to lean in that direction. It's totally your choice what you want to do. So that's the answer to that question. Basically, whatever you guys want to do with this, whether it's a mod or an application, that will be entirely up to you. Okay. Second, the announcement as far as when this will be available. I mentioned possibly this weekend. I have not run out of ideas yet, and I have not hit a wall where I'm no longer making any more progress. So I basically want to make it available once that happens. Once I've basically reached my peak and that there's really nothing more for me to contribute, that I'll make it available to you, because the more of the kind of drudge work I get out of the way, the kind of basic foundation, then that will free you guys up to just do like new shapes and maybe new tools and things like that, because at that point all the functionality will be there. Like maybe you guys will come up with custom color palettes or custom texture packs or something like that, whatever you want to do. So soon, but I'm not sure when. So I said possibly this weekend. Well, we're at this weekend now, at least at the time of this recording. So we'll see. So maybe next weekend, we'll see when I run out of inspiration. Now, the idea that I said I wanted to float by you guys was that possibly, so once I make this project available and you guys have turned it into, say, a mod, or you've turned it into an application, I was thinking of sponsoring a game jam, maybe on Itch, since, like I said, I already have a publisher page there. Um, Maybe what I could do is I could sponsor a game jam, and the condition of the game jam would be that all the graphics need to be made using this mod or using this new application. Obviously, there would have to be a free version then, because I think it'd be a real jerk move to say, "Hey, game jam, but you got to buy something." I don't think that's the right way to go. So, want to see what you guys think about that. That if you guys come up with a free version of this, again, whether it's a mod or a standalone executable, in that case, it would have to be able to export as FBX or OBJ. And I could see about setting up a game jam to promote what was made. And there certainly is precedent for that. Like the publisher Kenny has done that. They've done game jams, and the only criteria is that you have to use their assets. But they were free asset packs. So it's not like they were pushing their stuff and saying, oh, hey, you got to buy us stuff to do the game jam. It was, here's the free assets, make a game with them. Obviously, there's still some self interest in there, but I just wanted to say that there is indeed precedent for that, that you basically promote a free to use application and you do it through a game jam, and maybe there's two versions. Maybe there's a free version of the application, and then there is the paid version, which has more tools, more blocks, that kind of thing. Okay, so those are the announcements. Those are the ideas. Please leave a comment to let me know what you think about those. And now we will actually look at the additions. So Just like the other updates, some of it is user interface, so quality of life, and we actually added a new tool. So you probably can already see the changes. So in the last video, I said I wasn't going to turn these into a window, but I rethought my life decisions and I turned it into an actual proper scrollable window. So we now have a scroll bar. This was way easier than I thought. Maybe 30-ish minutes. I probably could do it even faster now if I had to do it again from scratch. So it's actually not that hard to turn this into a window. I haven't done a full breakdown yet. I'll do that when a breakdown video, that is. I'll do that once I post this for you guys. Then I'll do basically a reference video to explain how everything works. But in short, the background here, you just had to add a scroll and rect. You had to add a mask component, and then you had to create a scroll bar object, and then link it. I believe it was to the scrolling rect component. A couple other small things you have to do in there as far as setting childs and parents, but for the most part, that's the broad stroke. So yeah, it was a lot easier, and you can make the scroll even more. So that's just what I set just to get it working. Same thing for this one. Again, you could make this scroll even more if you wanted to. So that's the first thing, is I actually turned these into scrollable windows. Second thing is you see the big green check marks. This is something that, like I said, I've struggled with as far as like Magic of Voxel. And with my own application, you've seen me, well, I say application project. With this project, you've seen me do it where I'm clicking, nothing's drawing, and that's because I was on delete, but there was no great way of indicating it. Buttons are really weird that, like, if this is the selected button, and then I click up here, this one becomes unselected because that's the selected button. So as far as indicating that all these buttons are currently active, I wanted to come up with something like that. So I just added a check mark. So if you're wondering why the box completely disappears and this doesn't, it's because a button actually has two objects. It has a parent button object that has an image, and then it has a child text object. So what's happening is here, the parent object, the image is being replaced by a check mark, but the text is still there. Whereas this, there is no child object, it's just the image. So the image is being replaced. So probably a better way would be for the check mark to be over the image, but as I've said a million times, this is iterative. Now that this functionality is here, we can build on it and make it better. So that was one of the things I really wanted to do, is have this nice clear indicator of how this is set up. It's like what shape is checked, what line is checked, is it plus, is it minus, is it paint, or is it pencil? And speaking of that, that is the other tool that was added. I just added it earlier before I started recording, so there's a few bugs, but you now have a free draw pencil. So again, no matter what shape you use, because of the way I coded it, you can free draw. Now you could argue that with a 9x9, do you really need a pencil? Maybe, but nothing says that this is going to stay 9x9. It's easy enough to turn this into 100x100. Okay. So that is, I think, the majority of what was done. Oh, the bug. So let me show you how one thing about this works. And this was one of the first things that I set up, so I'm going to have to go back and change it. As you can see, the collider for the tile is actually a box and not a flat tile, not a plane. Not going to get into it now why I made that decision, but ultimately I need to change that. I need to change this so it's just a tile with a flat mesh collider instead of a box, because what's happening is if you run this, if you're looking at the side here, as you could see, there was actually a box collider. So if I click here, it's going to put like 100 of them in one place. So that's the thing, I need to stop that from happening. The box also, even in the middle here, was a little bit glitchy, and that sometimes it will overwrite. So if we do pencil, let's see if I can make it happen. Actually, it's not happening now, which is good. But what was happening, I'll show you here. I'll intentionally break it. So if you click on the collider here, see how it's white? That's because there's like a gazillion of those, because one is being drawn every single frame. And so it's not the end of the world. They could click and delete these, but there's so many there that it's a waste of their time. And yes, I really am deleting. You can see those deleted. But there's like a gazillion here. So if they do that a bunch of times, it really makes the tool unusable because of the error correction they would have to do. But again, iterative. We now have a pencil tool, and I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. But again, just before I went to sleep the other night, I said, "Oh, I know how to do this." It just kind of came to me as a flash. So now we have a fourth tool. So now we have a pencil tool. And then with a pencil tool, you could always maybe come up with subshapes. So rather than drawing one block at a time, maybe these large shapes would not be a great addition to the pencil, but maybe you could do something like maybe it makes a plus sign. So it makes like a small meta shape rather than a real big one. But again, that'll be up to whatever you guys want to do with this. So I think that's about it. So we now have scrollable windows. We now have checkbox to indicate what is selected. And as I said before, this stuff works. And even though that was checked, I still tried to place a block. Colors, there's still only a couple that are coded because, like I said, you guys are probably going to choose a better selection of colors. I didn't like use any kind of color science or anything. I just said, oh, pretty, let's use that color. So not a lot of point in me coding all those, as long as I've coded enough for you to understand how it works, and then you can take it from there. And I would ensure that delete all works. I don't think save works. Let's take a quick look if there's anything attached. The save functionality works with, I believe it was the P key, but I don't think I actually associated that with the save button yet. So is that the save button? Okay. And yeah, there's no functionality assigned to it. So that'll be easy enough because, like I said, pressing the P key will save your work as a prefab. Okay, so we're getting really close. Like I said, I will make this available to you once I've gotten this as bug-free as possible, and that once I've exhausted my inspiration and I don't think I have anything else to contribute. So I'm thinking probably next weekend this will be available. And because what I don't want to do is I don't want to make it available. You guys start to work on it, and I'm like, oh, here's the new improved version, and you possibly losing work. So I want to make sure that once I've let this go, I'm all set with it. And then again, you guys can take it from there and do whatever you choose to do with it. So again, if you like this video, please leave a like. If you have any feedback about the ideas I mentioned at the beginning, like doing a game jam. So if you like the idea, say yes, you like the idea of game jam, or no, go home, you're drunk, that kind of thing. So, okay, so I hope you found this useful, and please enjoy the rest of your day.